there's so many people who are so up in arms around judging others and sort of wanting to regulate someone else's life in a way that doesn't impact them at all.
At all, yeah.
And that I just find shocking. It really, that's sort of just a place where I don't know anymore how we bridge that divide. You know, if I think my rights trump your rights, you know, and that my vision of the world, which would dictate how you live your life, it is right. And it doesn't, I don't know. I don't know how we move forward.
Yeah.
You know?
I don't know how we move forward either. And I guess, yeah. I'm like, this is terrible.
Monica and Dua, our depressed chat.
We're depressed. I know. I mean, the world makes us feel depressed. And the thing that I was going to say earlier, which I couldn't even remember, is the way that people just try and amplify their own public persona at the hands, or, you know, of other people's misfortune. That was what I was trying to say earlier when I couldn't find the words. But, you know, in recent years, you seem to have become, you know, much more intentional and direct about how you use your public profile. And you're an ambassador for several anti-bullying organizations. And last year you were the executive producer of 15 Minutes of Shame, which is a documentary that's a plea for mercy for those who have been subjected to online humiliation. And it seems to me that you are exactly where you should be. In fact, you said recently that, you know, the past 7 years have been a fucking miracle. And I just want to know what changed to make that possible.
I think it really was, it was a reflection of the kind of involution, the deeper work that I had to do that married with the times changing. And also really it is a lot of, when I wrote the Vanity Fair essay and it came out, it was your generation that insisted on reevaluating my story. So I think that there were probably a lot of the older generations. I won't blame everything on the boomers, but
almost
maybe, you know, I'm like Gen X, we exist. It really was, and it was fascinating because I think that these younger generations were, you know, coming to this story, maybe having heard, you know, bits and bobs of, you know, the headlines, right? If they knew me outside of rap songs, you know, then it was like, you know, just the headlines and really, you know, as we kind of say in my family, it's like hadn't lived through the brainwashing, because that's really what happened, you know, through political forces and the media and how that was, how that unfurled in 98. So it was the younger generations that kind of said, whoa, wait a minute, what happened here? You know, we need to, you know, so just looking at the facts really insisted on a reevaluation. And I'll be, you know, forever grateful for that. It was, and I think one of the things too, you know, and just you were saying about my public platform and those things and being intentional. One of the, I do a lot of deep consciousness work. It's like scientific consciousness work. I don't know how to really explain it, but I've been doing it for.
Is that like mindfulness or like?
No, it's. I mean, there's an aspect of mindfulness. There's an aspect of loving kindness and compassion, but it's really been around. You know, I don't know how woo-woo we want to get here. I mean, it's not woo-woo, it's science-based, but I mean, it's just been very much about healing energy fields and trying to reorganize energy patterns in my life.
Yeah.
And one of the intentions there, you know, that I think I went into 2014 with was in stepping back out to be seen as my true self. And, God, it's weird. You know, sometimes emotion sneaks up on you in a strange way. So I think that was one of the things that was so lost from the period before was there were, certainly the lies, there were the cherry picked facts. So there were all the awful things that I had done or humiliating things, ways that I embarrassed myself. But there was the totality of me as a person, the multi-dimensionality of me.